Hello and welcome back to my channel, Emily Jean if you're new here. And today we are doing a Dollar Tree book haul. Did I take a gamble? Maybe. Are there gonna be some good ones? Let's see. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, and let's get cozy. Okay, it's like 90 degrees in Maine. We're not used to that here. So I've got my water today, super hot. Loving every second of it though. And we went to the Dollar Tree to pick up some summer toys for my son, and I saw some book covers that I couldn't resist. So I could not get my Wi-Fi pulled up while I was in the store, and I wanted to look on Goodreads while I was there. Couldn't get it up, so took a gamble on 4 books, and I thought it would be fun to show you what they were, why I was drawn to them, and then check on Goodreads and see what the rating is, how many people have actually read these books, and dig into it. Okay. First book I picked up, and all of these I judge by the cover, of course. Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. Earthsinger Chronicles Book 1. So what drew me to this was the gorgeous cover. I love a strong, powerful person on the cover. I loved that it was book 1. Something about Earthsinger Chronicles really called me in. And then right on the top it says, wonderful characters, unique setting, and an engaging romance set against the backdrop of ancient magic. All of those words, except for romance. I'm not usually like super drawn to something just for the romance, but it just sounds really interesting. So I did try to read a couple pages of each one, but it was tough because my son was running around, and yeah, I didn't really get to read a lot, but like at first glance the writing seemed to be good and drew me in, and I did like that it had like a little character map and a land map. It starts with a prologue, and the very first sentence is, in the beginning, there was silence. Then it goes on to, the melody of life and breath and heartbeats and change lay locked in a noiseless hush. No green shoots worked their way out of the rocky soil. The parched earth was sterile, yearning for change. The folk had long since shunned the scalding rays of the sun, instead choosing to burrow inside the mountain they called Mother. Okay, super intrigued. So let's go to Goodreads and see what it says. Okay, this is interesting. So on Goodreads, it has this cover as there was like a sneak peek of this book that was published on Kindle that only had 4 chapters that used this cover. And then there's a totally different cover for the full version on Goodreads, but this is the full version. It's got all the chapters. So maybe that's why it's at the Dollar Tree, because the cover doesn't line with what cover they published in publishing, maybe? Okay, so this has 3.73 stars on Goodreads. I just realized my mic was super far away, so hopefully the audio wasn't too bad. There's a motorcycle outside right now. Okay. On Goodreads, it's 3.73 stars. Which isn't that great on Goodreads, I don't think. It has 2,228 ratings, 797 reviews, but it is mentioned that it was a Time Magazine Best Fantasy Book of 2018. Okay, it's in a couple of lists. So it's in a mystery, sci-fi, and fantasy by POC authors, and then it's also in a YA fantasy sci-fi by Black authors list. I'm not going to go into the actual ratings because sometimes, even though they're not marked as spoiler-free, they give you just that little bit of nugget enough to be spoilery, where you're kind of thinking about it the whole time you're reading, like, when's this going to happen, what's that going to mean? So I'm not going to read the actual reviews, but I'll still give it a chance. This was my first Dollar Tree pickup. Have you heard of it? Let me know. Okay, the next one that I got was Plagueland. I got this because I thought I'd heard the name Alex Scarrow before. I also like a doomsday thriller, right? And I don't know if it's going to hit a little too close to home. I don't know when this was published, but it's basically about a plague that crosses the whole world. It starts in Africa, and then like it's slowly mentioned, people ignore it, and then it spreads everywhere. Like, some of the praise on the back was a superb doomsday thriller, tingling with tension, supercharged, and fast-paced. Okay, so the first paragraph goes, West Africa. The girl was only 10. Her name was Camille. She was on her way to collect water from the drinking well, a large, battered, and dented tin jug dangling from each hand, when she spotted it just a few feet off the hard dirt track. A dead dog. Not an uncommon sight, except for the fact that it was only half a dead dog. Okay. More to come. Oh, okay. So Goodreads says it's Plagueland #1. It was published in 2017. That's interesting. Okay. 3.86 stars, so a little bit higher. Pretty low number of ratings, 1,400. I mean, you'll see some of the ratings get up, like hundreds of thousands of people rate some of the books, so probably not that well known. Okay, has a couple literary award nominees, so cool. I feel like this will be a good summer read if it ends up being enjoyable. And also, I'm getting much better at not being afraid to DNF books if I realize that they're just not for me, so we'll do that if we need to. Maybe we won't need to, though. The next one I picked out, definitely because of the cover and the title. The Sea Beast Takes a Lover. Look at this octopus with the hard eyes and the ship in the background is kind of taking the ship down. I liked the waves. It says stories, so I'm not sure if it's a bunch of short stories, but it's by Michael Andreasen. Dazzling and delightful, with its feet only slightly tethered to the world we know, The Sea Beast Takes a Lover explores family, faith, and longing through a kaleidoscope of surreal landscapes and spellbinding characters. That definitely sounds like it has promise. The first part says, the night before we load you into the crate and watch as the helicopter carries you off to the undisclosed location to drop you into the Atlantic Ocean, we eat dinner as a family. I roll your wheelchair to the head of the table, which has always been a little too small for 5, so that it's clear to everyone who's being honored. I'd hoped to grill up a few of those ribeyes we've got in the garage freezer. It seemed the right occasion for it. But then Avery recalled how you'd always loved Rosemary's braided chicken back when you were still on solid food, and so in honor of you, even though you aren't eating, that's what we eat. Oh my gosh, this is reminiscent of, oh, what book is it? Where they know when the older people are going to die. Is it in the Giver series? Ooh. I'm like remembering the scene of somebody saying goodbye to their grandfather in this way. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. That's probably not helpful at all, but I feel like it might have been in the Giver series. Maybe not. No, it was a different... I can't remember. So... interesting. Let's see what Goodreads has to say. Okay, Goodreads has it at 3.37, which I think is the lowest of all the ones that we've looked at so far. 512 ratings, so not very many ratings at all. Bewitching and Playful, published in 2018. So it's definitely a collection of short stories, and I was scrolling to get a little bit more info and happened to catch a couple of the reviews, and they do not look good. Pretty scathing as far as Goodreads goes, but I'll still give it a chance. And then the final book that I got was Little Comfort by Edwin Hill. I wasn't in the mood to read like a snowy thriller until it was so hot today. I'm like, yes, give me the coolness of winter. But the top says that it's fast-paced and riveting, takes off from the opening pages and never lets up. A dark but compassionate psychological thriller debut with great appeal for fans of Ruth Ware. I've recently gotten really into Taylor Adams with No Exit, and then I have the arc that I'm reading right now of Hairpin Bridge, which I'm going through so fast and really, really enjoying. So I was thinking maybe this would be another fast-paced thriller. So the first little bit of it says, all Hester Thursby wanted was a single day to herself, and today was going to be that day, even if it killed her. She left the baby monitor on the nightstand next to her snoring non-husband Morgan and slipped out of the house with Waffles on the leash. Okay, maybe she glanced into Kate's bedroom to be sure her 3-year-old niece was still alive. Maybe she crept up to the queen-size bed where the tiny girl slept with a protective barricade of stuffed animals. And maybe Hester felt a wave of relief when Kate rubbed her nose with a fist and rolled over. Kate had been staying with them since September, and no matter how much Hester wanted to keep the kid from cramping her style, she still hadn't adjusted to worrying about another human being all day and every day. It can be a lot. We're making this up as we go along, kid, she whispered, kissing Kate's forehead. Well, it sounds like you're doing a good job so far, Hester, from this first few sentences. Being a caretaker of a little one is a lot of responsibility. I could already understand Hester a little bit, like wanting a day to yourself, but also loving that little being so much you just have to check on them one more time. I'm really curious to see where this goes, how this turns into a thriller, and what ends up happening. So let's check over on Goodreads. Ooh, so this is a series as well, Hester Thursby Mystery number 1. It has 3.69 stars, which is a little bit higher, but still kind of low. It has 1,400 ratings, and it was published in 2018. Oh, it was a Literary Award for Agatha Award nominee for Best First Novel. That's pretty cool, right? Okay, so that is our 4 books. Honestly, for dollar store books, I feel like the ratings on Goodreads weren't so low. I was thinking we might see like some 2.7s, 3.2s, but everything was above 3.4, I think, right? Oh, CB Stakes the Lover was 3.37. So I'm not going to write them off just based on Goodreads. I am super curious how these are going to be. Which one are you most drawn to? Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever picked out Dollar Tree books before? And which one do you predict I will enjoy the most? So let me know. Thank you so much for hanging out for another video, and hopefully I will see you very soon. Bye, guys.